J. Cole is releasing his long-awaited album, The Fall Off, on February 6, 2026. Now, we already know J. Cole is like that with the pen and with his rhymes and with his flow, but let's talk about this numerology. His personal numerology and the numerology of his project can give insight into the outcome, the experience, and his future in the music industry. Now, if you want an analysis just like this one, make sure you comment drops down below and I'll send you the private link. But let's go ahead and get into these numbers. I'm Jacari, and this is Drops. Now, J. Cole was born January 28, 1985, making him a Psychic Exalted 1, simplified from that 28, a Destiny 7, simplified from a 34, a name number 1, simplified from a 19 in Chaldean, and then the name number 9, simplified from 18 in Vedic and Pythagorean systems. These numbers together give him a confidence, a boldness, and a versatility, and that not only shows up in his work, but likely shows up in the people he interacts with personally. He might have a very ambitious yet diverse group of friends, as well as people who are introspective and maybe even mysterious. Now, J. Cole's Psychic Exalted 1 gives him an intensity because of that exaltation. That's the most complex version of 1. Now, there is the conscious experience around confidence, influence, and power because of that exaltation, but also because it simplifies to 1. His long-term experience, which is represented by his Destiny number, highlights mystery, fantasies, and healing, which can look like him experiencing things that he might have never seen coming, indulging or ruminating in different thoughts and fantasies, and also experiencing things that require him to intentionally address something that requires healing. And at the same time, avoidance of all of those things still highlight an experience with those themes. His name number 1 and 9 sit in reflection with each other, which are two numbers that sit on opposite sides of the same vibration. This can make him come off as different yet inclusive, aspirational yet authentic, and passionate but always changing. Now, this project that's coming out on February 6th of 2026 is going to have a pure Psychic 6, a Destiny 9 simplified from an 18, a name number 7 simplified from 52 in Chaldean, a name number Master 55, which simplifies to a 1 in Vedic, and then name number 1 simplified from a 46 in Pythagorean. This altogether gives themes around imagination and passion, but there is some distance in there too. This might be one of his more artistic and sonically sound projects because of that Psychic 6, but also avoid or overindulge in certain topics. The Psychic 6 of this project brings a conscious experience around beauty, pleasure, indulgence, and comfort, which can look like him discussing those themes in different ways, as well as avoiding those themes in certain ways, because 6 also highlights avoidance. So yes, this project might sound beautiful, it might feel beautiful, it might indulge in themes around pleasure in regards to topic, but there's also a chance that this project avoids those topics and distances itself in some way from those themes, leaning more into themes around indulgence and God complexes. So this project might be full of things that he avoids or struggles to balance, or talking about those things, alongside themes of intimacy, love, and lust, as well as jealousy or obsession. Now, on a long-term side, this project might bring enlightenment, wisdom, or highlight themes around evolution because of the Destiny 9. With the supplementary numbers 1 and 8 of this Destiny number, it brings themes around power and confidence and boldness, and also taking up spaces and authority. So people might see this as the project that solidifies J. Cole's position as a music great. And that's also supported by his natal 1 and 7 showing up in the name numbers of this project. That connection brings insight to J. Cole in his truest form. This can be a peek into his inner world, or even demonstrate a crack or removal of a mask or persona. With 1's connection to self and identity, people might see this project and know immediately this is a J. Cole project. And with 7's connection to the past, nostalgia, and secrets, people might dive deep into the rhyme schemes, the lyrics, the beats that are sampled, and so on, to find meaning and understanding of the project even on a deeper level. And he might do this in a way that nods to himself or to the people that inspired him into becoming who he is in his identity. Now, with this being potentially his last project, this brings themes around endings. And that's supported by the Destiny 9 of this project, signifying something that's coming to a close, or being finished, or moving on to other things. Now, experiences with detachment, distance, and avoidance are things that are natal to J. Cole because of the 7 and 9 in his natal chart. He might be seen as distant because of that name number placement, and he might feel detached over the long term because of that Destiny 7. But in terms of this project specifically, themes around distance is recognized by the opposition with the 1 that is in his natal chart and the 6 and 9 of the project's chart. 1 and 6 sit in opposition because of polarity. 1 is active, 6 is passive. 1 and 9 sit in opposition opposition because of reflection. So 1 is self and 9 is other, and 1 is starts and 9 is endings. So all of these things together affirm the distance, affirm the endings, affirm the detachment that this project is alluding to be. But with endings, we also get beginnings, especially in numerology, and that is highlighted by the number 1s that are across the name numbers. And yes, he does still have that psychic 1, making any themes around this transition a very conscious one. So this might be something that he's very aware of and is not lost on him. And with the reflection of 1 and 9 that is sitting between himself and this project, sitting natally in his name number, this is something that he's already used to, of this transition, this change. Even if we haven't seen it, it's likely it's something that he's experienced. And those stars can be seen as newness, especially in regards to this being a name number placement, which highlights how you're viewed, regarded, and remembered. So with the name number 1s present in both his natal chart and this project, we do get that emphasis of something new, a new perspective, a new belief, a new idea, and maybe even a new take on previously discussed topics, especially those that he might have spent a lot of time thinking on because of the supplementary 5s in these name numbers, those that he'd had to do a little bit more introspection on because of the supplementary 4 and 6, and things that he might have had to become more aware on because of the supplementary 1 and 9. Now, understanding the relationship between an artist and a project is something that I specialize in my service, so make sure you comment drops below and I'll send you the link to the private service. Now, looking deeper into the relationship that J. Cole and the Fall Off have, we can understand better on how it might be received or experienced when looking at the name numbers. Like I said previously, there's a high potential for deep dives with this project because of the name number 7. 7 loves research and understanding, so people are likely to do those deep dives and analysis and research into this project to understand not only where it came from and what inspired him, but also to even understand it deeper for themselves. So this can look like references made, lyric finding, sample finding, the list goes on. Anything to find a deeper connection or understanding. Additionally, this project might feel nostalgic because of 7 as well. 7 connects to the past and nostalgia and fantasies. So people might have already had preconceived notions of what this project might have sounded or felt like, but this project also might disrupt from that believed perception. That disruption is supported by the 2 name number 1s. 1 is new, it's start, it's fresh, it's beginning something, and that might not align with what people might have believed this project to be. And because of that, this project might be received more as a beginning than an ending, because it shows a new side to Cole. Additionally, this project might highlight a mastery around thought, comprehension, understanding, and processing because of the Master 55 sitting supplementarily to a 1. So people might run this project back over and over and over again and gain new insight and understanding or perspectives on the things that Cole's talking about. And in that deep dive and in that replaying, people might find connections between Cole's story and their own, which ties naturally into the inspirational energy that J. Cole carries. And that inspiration is likely to show up in this project because it's a Cole project. So this project can give listeners a newfound confidence or new insight or perspective, or maybe even some new beliefs around things that they had completely different beliefs about before. Now, when it comes to the recognition around this project, there's a lot of things that are helping him out, but there's 2 main things I want to focus on. His destiny number being the same dominant number as one of the project's name numbers, as well as the project's destiny number being the exact same of one of his name numbers. Now, his destiny number having the same dominant number as one of the project's name numbers of that 7 gives social impact to his legacy. Your destiny number highlights the long term. Having this destiny number placement show up in a name number, which highlights the social aspect of how you're viewed and remembered, gives a second wind to his legacy, which is highlighted by that destiny number. Now, though the supplementary numbers differ, they do share themes around creativity and curiosity. So this leads people who might not have known about Cole or listened to a lot of his work, discovering him and wanting to learn more about him, and potentially the work that they do find inspiring themselves. But ultimately, the dominant 7 of these placements does reign true. Now, the project's destiny number being the same as one of his name numbers gives a long-term power to his name. So whereas where we just discussed his destiny number being activated by the project's name number, we're now looking at a reverse, his name number being activated by a destiny number. What this essentially does is, over the long term, giving his name more of a push, but also says that this project will be tied to his name forever, good or bad. Now, yes, technically all of his numbers are part of this project, but we're going to talk about that later. So there is a lot of distance and detachment, like we talked about earlier in this project's numbers in correlation to his natal numbers. There is still a lot of connection, which leads us into what we could expect. Though there is that separation in those endings still highlight beginnings. So this isn't necessarily the end of J. Cole as an artist, it could just be the end of an era. Plus, this is J. Cole that we're talking about. He's already solidified his place as one of the greats. And that greatness is also supported by his natal numerology, and that's likely to carry over into this project some way, somehow. Now, with all of his numbers showing up in this project's numbers, in this universal 1 year of 2026, his conscious experience as well as his personal social experience is supported because they both align with the one energy of 2026. So with all of his numbers showing up in this project some way, somehow, and that alignment of ones with the universal year, this project might be him showing up as more of himself, being more authentic, showing different parts of his identity and other one themes. So it's very likely that this project will be received well because it aligns with not only his natal energy, but also the universal energy that we're under. Now, this is one energy that we're talking about, and one does bring newness, but that does not mean that ultimately he would continue in the industry. But I will not say that he will or will not continue in music. I will say on a numerological tip that this year specifically is a restful one for him. This is because of the relationship that 3 and 6 have with his Destiny 7 and his Psychic 1 respectively. They both sit in opposition. 7 and 3 reflect each other, and then 6 and 1 are sitting in polarity. And that opposition can be very tiring and draining and bring struggles for people who don't have those exact type of positions natally. Now, he does have a natal reflection, but it's not this type of reflection, which also still can add to that level of tired or exhaustion. And additionally, looking at his forecast for 2025 and his forecast for 2027, he's in a period of transition. 2025 brought endings, emotions, and big changes that likely altered how he moved through the world. And this year is bringing expression and creativity and aesthetics, whereas last year focused on that emotional depth. This year is showing more of the work to say, like a presentation of, hey, look what I made. And 2027 brings questions about his future, his mindset, and his community, asking things like, where does he want to go? How does he want to feel? And what are the thoughts that he can't get out of his head, and how do those impact him long term? Now, this analysis is not based off of whether the project will be good or not on a musical side, because that's not what we're talking about. We're looking at the numbers. And if you want an analysis just like this one that breaks down your numerology alongside something else's numerology, like a project, a business, or something else, make sure you comment drops below and I'll give you access to the private sessions. Now, let me know who else you want me to cover. If this is your first time seeing me and you want to get to know me, check out this video over here. But if this is your introduction to numerology and you want to learn a little bit more about your numbers, check out this video over here. And I'll see you over there. I'm Jacari, and this was Drops.